All right. Joey Saldana, the Brownsburg Bullet, which we never discussed this entire time.
Owner of Crowns.
Owner of 2 crowns and 2. Do you keep the scepters?
No.
Oh, okay. 2 crowns, 2 robes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And part-time Australia. If you could describe this kind of lunch we had in one word, what would it be?
Hungry. I didn't get to eat. But not
that's on
by,
you.
You don't
by
eat,
choice.
You don't eat lunch.
By choice.
You
I
said
know,
you
but I'm
don't eat
sitting here
lunch.
the whole time, and I'm like, dude, I could eat.
This queso is
Especially
amazing.
after
These are delicious.
working
chips.
out. There's some protein
Yeah.
here. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
We're solid.
I'm glad a dirt track guy got on your show.
And now for Dinner with Racers, presented by
Continental Tire.
with your hosts, Ryan Eversley and Sean Heckman.
Placeholder radio sound. I'm a driver. I'm very angry. This is the sound of a driver on the radio during a race.
What do you think I should order?
Welcome to Dinner with Racers. I'm Ryan Eversley alongside my co-host.
I am Sean Heckman, and that is a grass fire to our left.
We are driving through Kentucky right now, headed south back to Atlanta to my house, and we are leaving Indianapolis after about 7-day trip up there, about 1,500 miles on this one. And if you're used to the way we used to do things with a long trip, well, we're kind of shortening that up, and the idea being that we'll do multiple throughout the year. So just did 7 days in Indy, maybe we'll do 7 days in Daytona later in the year. Anyways, we got to go to Brownsburg, Indiana, and meet up with none other than His Majesty, Joey Saldana.
Mr. Joseph Saldana.
So Joey Saldana has been a long-time staple of the World of Outlaws scene, dirt racer, Indiana boy, second-generation racer. His dad, Lil Joe Saldana, who won the Knoxville Nats back in 1970, as well as qualified and raced in the Indy 500. And is a known name all around the world. In fact, when we sat down with Sam Schmidt, he knew Little Joe Saldana. So Joey comes into the world as a born racer, gets into it pretty early on, and went on to win over 100 World of Outlaw races.
Yeah, just to sort of spell out some of the stats on Joey Saldana. He has over 100 wins in the World of Outlaws, 6 on the all-time list, 2-time winner of the King's Royal, which is sort of one of the big dogs in the dirt racing world. Drove in Australia and New Zealand for several years, has 22 career wins there, and is just generally one of the highest regarded dirt racers out there.
Yeah, Joey couldn't have been cooler because he didn't know us at all. We reached out to our good friend Justin Marks and said, hey, we'd really love to sit down with him. Do you know him? He hooked us up. And sure enough, he showed up, had lunch with us, and couldn't have been more open and willing to explain dirt racing to a couple of sports car guys who don't know a lot about it, but obviously love it. We got to see him race at Eldora earlier in the week, but we were still kind of asking ourselves questions that we weren't sure about, and he was really open and able to help us with that stuff.
So, some of the things you're going to learn about, like Ryan said, you're going to learn about the basics of sprint racing.
You're going to learn about World of Outlaws entry fees.
You're going to learn about the weight limits that used to be in place.
How amazing a podium celebration can be.
We learned that he also knew Tear Bear Trammell.
And he is a king.
A king.
Yeah, he got a crown and everything.
He is a 2-time His Majesty.
He is a 2-time His Majesty. That's right.
So, all right. So we went out once again to Brownsburg, Indiana, where we went to Tequila Sunrise, which was a fun little Mexican place in a shopping plaza.
Yeah, funny enough, it was about 3 doors down from the Boulder Creek place we went with the old Tear Bear the night before.
And something we learned as we sat down and didn't really talk about in the episode is Joey doesn't really eat lunch. But we sure do.
Yeah, we ate a lot of cheese dip.
So what did you have, Ryan?
I had the chicken and rice plate. It was amazing.
And I had a specially made chicken sandwich.
You did. They whipped one up for you.
Yeah.
Right there on the spot.
And once again, we would not have been able to make that drive out to Brownsburg if we didn't have a very awesome car in what form?
My 2017 Acura MDX.
And, of course, we wanted to be there safely. We wanted to be there with good fuel mileage. We wanted to be there with all the rain and sunshine and mixed conditions that were endemic to the area. And that came through a certain tire.
That would be the Continental tire?
That would be the Continental tire, but I don't think that's what the fans want.
What do the fans want, Sean?
They want a loud and exuberant voice that's not mine.
Continental tire.
Cross contact, LX
20.
Sport. Sport or 20, whichever one fits your vehicle.
Hey, they got all sorts of tires, so get out there and go buy some.
Joey Saldana.
All right, we're going to start in 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right. Throw that thing on.
We waste no time.
Yeah, we'll get right into it. How's it going?
Good.
Can you hear us?
Yep. I
All
can
right.
hear you.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what you're in for?
I have no clue.
I'm curious what Justin said, if anything, other than
He just said, "Hey, I got some friends that have this podcast thing. Can I give them your number?" I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead. I don't care."
okay.
Well, I assume you're a giant fan of Pro-Am sports car racing.
What's that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Pro-Am sports car?
I mean, I have
follow,
an idea.
You follow it religiously,
I have an
assume?
idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I have a good friend, Jamie Coates.
Okay.
He was a crew chief for Max Chilton
Oh,
last
okay.
year for
Yeah.
Ganassi.
Okay.
Well,
Right.
that team kind of dissolved. Well,
Right.
now they put him in charge of their whatever. What would that be? Dixon drives his car, and I think Briscoe drives
Oh,
it.
the Ford GT.
Yes, the Ford GT.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
So kind of, I don't know what that is to what you guys are talking
It's
about.
the same
kind of thing.
series,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
slightly
Because they're
different
getting
class.
ready to go over to
Le Mans.
France.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's. I just saw him yesterday. He came to my son's baseball game, and he was telling me about how different it is.
Yeah, how you
just
cheat.
way different.
Right.
How you cheat,
Yeah, how
is that
you
what you
cheat.
said?
Yeah. we'll blow your mind with some sports car terminology.
Yeah.
That as a dirt guy,
Yeah.
you're going to be done with sports car racing before you ever started.
And so what I want out of this is I'd love for you to kind of explain to us, like we're 5-year-olds, how World of Outlaws works, the racing, the basic overall.
Well, I mean,
Go.
I'm not a part of it anymore. So, I mean, but I know I was definitely, I've been a part of it for 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
And,
When you say you're not a part of it anymore, how do you mean?
well, I mean, I don't race full time. I'm not racing the whole schedule.
Right, okay.
Oh,
You know,
sure.
well,
But
no,
I'd say,
that's
like,
fine.
We were at
But
Eldora Saturday, and you were racing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, we were there, but I mean, you know
weren't
what
racing?
I mean. No, I was racing, but you know what I mean.
Pretend I wasn't
a
there.
full-time team,
Right.
Sure.
with the budget to compete at
Yeah.
that level,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
night in and night out. That obviously, I
'Cause
haven't done it in 2 years, but I have been a part of the Outlaws full-time for
Yeah.
18 years. So,
Okay.
and I've definitely seen a huge transition,
right.
Sure.
from good and bad.
So if you're Joe sports car racing fan and you've never seen a dirt car race at all or a World of Outlaws anything, tell us about the car because it's what 1,200 pounds.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's 1,200 pounds. But I mean, I think the cool part for me is I was there pre-weight rule.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
So they can weigh less.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, our cars, they've put a rule on that it has to weigh a certain weight.
A minimum, right.
So
Is that car or car and driver?
car and driver.
Okay.
Which a guy like myself or Jack Hodenshield,
Right.
or Rico Abreu.
Yeah,
About
right.
to say Rico is the
we had a
first thing
question
I
about
think
that.
about. Yeah. So
It's actually hurt us. I mean, but I think the motor builders and everybody's kind of, they've everything's kind of gone
Yeah.
to that. Okay, you got to weigh 1,200 pounds.
Right.
But back in the day, for instance, Mark Kinzer and myself, I set 35 fast times one season, but we didn't have a weight rule, so I was like
Right.
1,000 pounds.
the whole thing.
Oh yeah, ready to race. I can remember going to California for the first swing, and we weighed my car, and it was 1047, and that was with mufflers, fuel, ready to race.
Yeah.
If you did that now, people would laugh at you.
You got to say, and
know.
so on the bigger tracks, an 1,000-pound car
Yeah.
on
1,000-pound
dirt.
core.
How fast are you getting at the end of some of the bigger tracks?
Well, I'd say Volusia County down in Florida is our fastest track,
Yeah.
and we probably, I would say, you might get 150.
Oh,
Jesus
No, I
God.
don't know.
Okay.
But you got to.
Jesus.
I think our cars go faster through the corner than down the straightaway.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
just the way they're built with the
Right.
wings and everything.
Okay, so at one point the car could weigh as little as possible.
As little as possible.
Did they have any rules about like no carbon stuff? No.
Nope. No
Oh,
rules.
Oh wow. Okay.
You can do whatever you want.
Jesus, that's
So
awesome.
you could make just a go-kart with wings and go
Yes.
for it. Yeah.
Yes. And honestly, though, I think the weight rules actually hurt the sport because I owned my own car at that time.
Yeah.
And when they put the weight rule in, it basically took me out of an ownership.
Yeah.
Because we
How's
built
that?
our car around Joey Saldana, and we were
Oh, I
racing.
see. Okay.
Now all of a sudden, we're going to have 1,250-pound cars.
Yeah. So now you
I
can
didn't
do.
change.
Now you can
Right.
do kind of a kit
But
car.
now
and
I got to
bias.
put weight on my car. We
Yeah.
blew motors up. Just every single night we were blowing something up because now your wrist pins break and your rod bolts break. It just
Oh, just
things.
because of the additional inertia.
The whole car, right?
Yeah,
the whole
okay.
car
Okay.
weighs more, so there's more load on all the equipment.
Right.
Well, in turn, it took me out of the ownership. So
Okay.
then I sold everything, and then I started back driving for people again.
Right. Just because the effort to have to redesign a whole car
You have
around
to
this would have been too
redesign,
much,
and
yeah.
everything's got to be, basically we build our car around myself and what we were doing
Right.
and trying to do and compete at that level.
Right.
Well, as soon as they did that, it took us right out of the game.
Now you say guys like yourself or Rico, guys that are sort of on the smaller side. When that rule came out, was shots just like, yeah, first round's on me, guys?
Well, not. I mean,
Okay.
at the time, probably Shots was getting to that level, but
Right.
obviously Steve Kinzer.
Yeah, but I'd
Yeah,
say kind of an
right.
older,
Steve
bigger
Kinzer,
guy.
we're talking early 2000s.
Right.
Obviously the Jack Hodenshield, he
Yeah.
didn't like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But the bigger guys, say from 180 to 250 pounds, they loved it.
You think
But guys like myself, we hated it.
Right.
Right. So you're saying over 180 is big? How dare you? How dare
I
you?
mean,
What about
I think
215?
I think in any sport,
Let's see,
I
at
think
210, is
a
that-
racer, especially in our cars, the way they can flip violently and do
Right.
crazy
Right.
things. Honestly, I think I'm the perfect size, just because I've been in the hospital, and I've been very fortunate. And if there's been crashes I've been in, and if I would have been a Donnie Schatz or
Yeah.
a Steve Kinzer,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be racing today.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but obviously my size has helped me.
Because your size or your fitness?
Well, I think my fitness is why you can come back
Yeah,
faster.
the recovery.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I really think your recovery, and that's one thing I learned. I was really big in pit fit for
Yeah.
quite a few years. Jim Leo did a lot for me. The one year I got hurt really bad at Eldora, they told me I was done for a year. Jim Leo had me back racing in 30 races.
Right.
My first race
Jeez.
back, I won, and then I won like 2 in a row, and I won at Eldora, which they were like, dude, you're not going to race for a year, and
Yeah.
I'm back
Right.
racing. So
Right.
a lot of that is fitness, just
Right.
recovery. You just recover faster.
So we've established that the car can weigh literally 1,000. Well, at one point weighs
definitely these cars.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, and they let us open it up, we could have 1,000-pound race cars.
1,000-pound race
with
cars
900 horsepower.
With 900 horsepower. That's
Yes.
the big thing you got to mention
Yes.
there. Your race car can do a wheelie.
Oh, it could flip over backwards, really.
Yeah,
if we did,
think
you
about
know,
that
you
for
could
a
really.
second. That is ridiculous.
If you wanted to, you could do. I think after the race the other night at Hopstadt, you saw David Gravel did just
big wheelie. down.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Just won. It was a crazy night
Right.
too.
Yeah.
He wins. He does a wheelie down the front stretch. I mean, really, if he doesn't have a rear bumper, that thing could just keep
Back
on going.
over.
Now, when you
Wow.
ran your own team, how much time were you doing on CFD?
CFD.
CFD.
That must be sports car terminology.
That's more
it's
like-
computer simulated aero and
Yeah.
all that. I'm being funny.
None.
The point being is that you guys are racing like some of these badass, like probably the baddest ass power to weight ratio race car on the planet, maybe next to drag racers.
Right.
And you're turning.
Yeah.
And you're doing it out of like, smaller shops without
Yeah.
computer technology.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
like
None
showing
of
you how to.
that.
Yeah, it's
None
just
of
like
that.
grassroots
What-
still, but at that level.
True grassroots.
Yeah.
What,
racing.
are there any R&Ds that are starting to, like 7 posts and things like that? Are those things starting to make their way in?
Luckily I was a part of KKR for 7 years. We did all that.
Let's back that up for those who don't know. Casey Kane Racing.
Casey Kane.
Yeah,
Racing.
again,
Right.
remember
Yes.
our listeners are
Would not
primarily
have a clue.
Yeah,
Who KKR
but they'll
is.
know Casey Kane.
Yes.
And
And Casey was one of the first kind of NASCAR guys that kind of put back into the sport by starting his own teams.
Tony Stewart was.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Stewart probably is, set the groundwork for, hey, let's go back and try and give back to the teams how
Right.
we got to where we're at.
Right.
Tony Stewart probably did it before anybody, and then other guys have kind of
Yeah,
followed.
and now there's-
it would be nice to see more guys do it because obviously
So many come from it.
they have the money to do
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Right? But it's also time.
Right.
You know, they have to give up their time to make it be successful.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, they don't have a lot of time, so
Yeah.
the time they do have, they cherish it. They don't want to mess
Right.
with it. If you want to have a race team and do like these guys are doing, you got to give up some time to do that.
Well, there's always going to be, even if you're not turning a wrench, there's management, there's phone calls.
Exactly.
There's always
Right.
some
There's
stupid
always
thing.
something behind
So,
the
yeah.
scenes that they need you for.
Right.
So
And I mean, right now, Kane is there. You drove for Stenhouse for a little while. Kyle Larson was in there. Justin Marks, obviously, our buddy. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a wave of these guys that seem to be
Yes.
involved. So
Okay, so to kind of, we've established that it's a 1,000-pound to 1,200-pound car roughly, which is still the lightest thing ever, and it makes 900 horsepower, can do wheelies. It doesn't have a gearbox. It's
Does not
direct
have a
drive, right?
gearbox,
You guys don't
direct
have a
drive.
starter motor, so a four-wheeler or a truck pushes you guys off to get you going for the
Yes.
session. First time I watched a World of Outlaws race was Charlotte, probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I didn't understand like the slide job kind of aspect of it. So like a guy would go barreling into a corner low, come right up in front of somebody, cause him to lift, and I'm like, why doesn't that guy just drop a gear and go? I literally
Yeah.
did this with my hand, like, why doesn't he just paddle down one shift? And I was told that no, there is no gear. Like, so
Well,
you
I
got to
think
keep the run
I think
coming
a
off
lot
and
of
everything.
thing too that as a driver, which you would figure it out, there's no grip.
Yeah.
So like when you slide a guy, and let's say you want to turn down and throttle down.
Yeah.
Well, where's your grip? You know, just because you throttle down and you pick up a gear, you're just going to spin your wheels.
Right.
So it's you know, it's a catch-22. I mean, you would like to be able to do that, and there's guys that are good at it that can turn down and drive through the slick and stuff.
Right.
But a lot of it's traction.
Yeah.
Finding that traction, finding the grip, taking the air off the car,
Right.
moving cars around, you know, and learning how to move cars that way.
Right.
So
Yeah, because you guys will literally, throughout an entire run, change your line depending on where the grip is.
You know, luckily I'm one of the old school guys that where my dad was a dirt track guy, and he made it to the Indy 500, and you know that all that transition, how pavement racing is, and all that.
Right.
That was the one cool thing that I always remember all the old time guys talking about is dirt track racing.
Yeah.
And dirt track racing, it changes so much. Like you may start a run and you're on the bottom, then a guy will run the top. But it could come back to the bottom, through the middle, back to the top.
And
it's
this is
just
literally because
crazy
the
how
dirt
the
is moving
transition-
around so much
exactly.
that it kicks
the
to the
dirt
side now.
changes.
Yeah. And you're using the dirt.
Where we're racing in the country, the dirt is so different.
Oh,
From
yeah,
California
sure.
to the Midwest to the
Yeah.
East Coast. And that's one thing that I think the World of Outlaws are really good at is adapting. They adapt really well. We only got 3 or 4 hot laps going to qualifying heat race. You know what I mean? It's not like you have a whole day of practice,
Right.
you know, and you learn it, which pavement racing, you need that because it's more of chassis, getting your car right, doing everything right, where this is, you just adapt. It just happens and it's
Quick.
fast. So I think that's the cool part, and that's why I think you see a lot of these guys making it to the big leagues because they're used to adapting, and you can't make a perfect car for a whole run.
Right.
So let's say your car's going to be off the first part of your run, and it'll come to you. Well, you got to figure out how to adapt through that first part of your run.
Right.
And I'm sure it's that way in any form.
Well, we had Clausen on a couple of years ago, and now he was USAC more than World of Outlaws, and so it is a different category. But the thing that blew us away when we were talking to Brian was, you know, that was when he was starting his 200 race tour, and World of Outlaws, as I understand it, is 80 races more or less.
I mean, there was
in a season?
honestly, I think when I started, it was a 80 to 100 race schedule,
Right.
and then when the Ted Johnson, you know, and the World Racing Group kind of took over, it went to probably 50, 60.
Right.
But now they're heading back that direction.
Yeah.
Right.
Which that's a catch-22 too.
Right.
I mean, it just costs more money every time you put the door down. It costs money. So really, I wish they would run less races but pay more.
Right. Well, but in sports cars, so Ryan basically runs in 2 pro sports car series, and one has a 12 race schedule, the other has a 8 weekend 16 race kind of schedule. So all in, you might hit 30 races in one year.
Right.
But to your point,
4-day
these
events.
are 3-4 day shows
yeah,
versus you're showing up that afternoon running that night,
Right.
so it's a 1 day
Probably
show.
on the course of days that you have to commit to the race car,
Yeah.
we're the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
But
right.
the problem is we do so much travel
Right.
within racetrack.
Yeah, because you guys go every day almost
right.
when you're on it.
I mean, yeah, we might have the same day away from our family or whatever, but it's so much travel in between.
Right.
And that's the worst part is the travel.
Well, you just charter a plane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the reason why you see Donnie Schatz being so successful in our sport is he's hugely talented,
he's a stud.
great team, but he doesn't live the life like most guys do. I mean, he's flying in and out of the races.
Interesting.
So
So you think that preserves him a little bit?
I mean, it has to.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it honestly has
less
to.
time
Well, that's
on
what
the
I'm going to say.
grind.
Is since so many of the World of Outlaws races are Midwest based, how much are you actually flying?
Donnie Schatz flies to every single
Right, but how much
race.
are you like when you were
I fly-
full time?
I only fly when I was full time.
Right.
I would fly to just the West Coast.
Right.
Okay.
So you're literally it's Eldora tonight, and then you're going to drive
I'm
out to
driving.
Kokomo
Yeah.
the next
Driving.
day.
Right.
And,
Driving.
Well, and
drive
Clausen told us the same kind of thing, you
Yeah.
know, and he was towing his merchandise rig.
I did the same
you know what I
thing
mean?
for
Yeah.
our team.
Yeah. So when we do this show normally, until this year, we've always waited till the end of our racing season to stop, and then we do like a 30-day trip all around the country. And we last year we do like 12 or 13,000 miles or something.
it was 6 weeks straight.
Yeah, just like
And,
drive,
13,000 miles.
And we, by the end of that trip, are
Dead.
just useless. And that's
Yeah.
at the end of the season. So
Yeah.
that sounds like kind of what you guys do on a regular basis to
Yep.
get from event to event. Because even when I reached out to you, I was like, hey, where are you going to be next week? And you're like, depends on the day. I'm not even sure where
Right.
or what town I'm going to be in because you guys are all over the
Right.
place. Like, how many dirt tracks are there that you can think of, just a rough number, that you would race at with the kind of racing you do in this country?
Well, the thing is I think there's a lot of racetracks, good racetracks, we don't race
Right,
at.
right. But we're talking hundreds of tracks.
There's so many dirt track races out there,
Yeah.
dirt tracks
Right.
that could put a World of Outlaw late model race
Could
or
yeah.
a sprint car. It's just
Right.
promoting,
Sure,
getting the
Right.
people there.
But the potential
But
is
people,
that-
I don't think, realize how much short track racing is out there.
Yeah.
There is a lot
Yeah.
out there. And there's a lot of great venues that we don't go to and we should. And you just hope in time they find that.
Right.
And we put on a good show and they want us back.
Right.
Right.
So, 1,000 to 1,200 pound car with 900 horsepower
What's the current rule, by the way?
on weight 1250. Is that what you said?
1250.
1250.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me the rundown, because I didn't realize that for one thing that like blew my mind for a sprint car race I went to was like you guys don't count yellow flag laps
No.
towards the race. And I believe that means if you have a problem, they can fix it real quick. You just come out and start last again.
Yes.
So it's like you're still in the hunt, even if you have like a small damage. If you can get it back out there.
One of the coolest things for me was Dodge City, Kansas, when I drove for Casey Kane. We were leading the race, and started to rain. So they red flagged it. Cars come in. And it rained so much, but they were like, hey, we're getting the show in. So I think, 10 laps in or whatever. It's a 30, 40 lap race. So they let all the cars go back out to just run the track in, and we're going to and then start racing.
Make it a racetrack. Yeah.
So luckily, we were in that first group of 10 cars that hot lapped, or 12. So we hot lapped. Our motor blew up. So our motor blows up, and we come in. They blow a horn before we have to go, and it gives us like 8 minutes.
Right.
So as soon as we come in, they blow the horn. We changed motors, got out on the racetrack in less than 8 minutes, and still won the race.
Dude.
Like you could never do that. And that's the crazy
Right.
part with our cars
Right.
is just, you're right. If there's an issue, you
Yeah.
could do whatever you
Yeah.
want. If you can get it done in that time frame, you
Yeah.
can do it.
Well, when we have red flags, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't touch
touch
anything.
the car or anything.
Yeah.
So we went to Eldora last weekend.
Well,
literally,
our red flags too. I mean,
Okay.
not all of them are open.
Okay.
But if
This
it's
was
caution.
a while. This was a yellow
Right.
flag.
If you're in the
with
caution or whatever, or you cause it, yes, you can do whatever you want. If you can get it done in that time frame, you can get back out.
yeah.
Have you ever been in 8th and just said, all right, I'm going to wreck?
I need to get this thing fixed.
Yeah.
No, honestly, no. And I think with our racing being sprint car racing
Yeah.
and that sprint, I mean, you can't really.
Yeah, because
Do that.
we went the other night to Eldora just to go watch, because we're here for the week doing this stuff, and it was like, hey, it's 2 hours away. We've always talked about going.
Yeah.
Let's just go. So we go down. We buy tickets. It was awesome. It was super fun. And one of the guys in the main had a problem pretty early on and goes right into the thing, and they're like hustling, trying to fix it while the yellow's going on, and it's like the crowd's cheering for it, like get him back out there. He
Yeah.
didn't make it, unfortunately, but that's when we were talking about, I'm like, oh yeah, that doesn't count. I think you're allowed to just come back out
Right.
and get in the race.
Yep.
I'm sure we're going to hear about this from pure sports car road racing fans. But to me, that keeps the show exciting,
Yeah.
because you can continue to fight. You know,
Right.
you're still in the race, and I'd rather see
Well,
that.
especially if
than-
you're a points racer.
Yeah.
If you're racing for points,
Yeah.
they give you that option.
Yeah.
If your team's qualified and prepared and you can get back up, I think there's been times probably throughout the season guys have won championships just because being prepared for certain situations like that.
Right.
So you say points racer. I assume a lot of these guys are just there for the night because they're in town or they're local to that race.
The majority probably as a whole aren't points racers.
Right.
But the elite group of guys that travel
Sure.
to all the World of Outlaw races,
Right.
they're racing for points.
So when we were there Saturday, which was the big race, it was the big World of Outlaws show. The feature had
Well, there's 24 cars that make the show.
Right.
You're allowed so many provisionals throughout the year.
Okay.
But I think the World of Outlaws right now have like 18 full-time guys.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Trying to qualify for every single race.
How many
that's a
don't?
lot.
Like I know it changes race to race. How many don't make the A main?
Oh, I mean, like the other night at Hopstad, I think
Yeah.
there was 40 some cars. There's 20. I mean,
Wow.
20
So a
cars
lot
was
of
the
people
show.
go home.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's a lot of times. I mean, if you pull in and you don't have your stuff together for hot laps and qualifying, you're really loading up and you're going home.
Yeah.
So
So a basic, let's say like Eldora the other night, we got there a little late because we were at the Indy race. You have your practice session, which is like hot lapping basically. So it's
I mean,
just
you
like
get
real quick, like
green,
that's
white,
it.
checkered.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. So
And you're going stupid fast, and it's dirt.
And
So-
you have to communicate with your crew chief.
Oh,
and
do you guys have a
everything.
radio?
We have a one-way radio,
Oh, okay.
only from the World of Outlaw officials to us.
Oh, so you can't
We
talk
can't
to
communicate
yeah.
with anybody else.
Interesting. Yeah. So give me the rundown on. Okay, so we have the green white checker basically for testing practice, and then you have a qualifying run, which is 2
Yep,
laps.
2 laps.
And then you go into heat races.
That seats you.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing. Well, now the Outlaws are heads up, but it used to be, like when I started, it used to be, say you were fast time, you'd start 6th. Like,
Okay.
you never got which is weird because in your form of racing,
Yeah,
if you're
you're up
fast,
front.
you're
Yeah,
up front.
yeah, right.
This is probably the second year that qualifying puts you to the front.
Okay.
But your performance, like say you qualified bad and you start 6th, but you run 2nd, every car you pass moves you up.
Okay.
Which that is a plus.
Interesting.
We didn't have that before.
So you may get started back, but by qualifying well, you're still guaranteed in the feature?
No.
Oh.
There's no guarantee.
Yeah.
Is there
So
any
like if
advantage to just
say you're
flubbing it?
fast time,
Right.
you go out in the first heat and you blow a tire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to run the B main. If you make it out of the B main, the best you can start's 21st.
Right.
If you don't make it, you're out of the show.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you're a quick
Yeah.
time or not.
And then how many mains or the ABCs is dependent on how many cars.
How many
entered?
cars are there?
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Like Hopstock, we had a C,
yeah.
Yeah.
a B, and an A.
Right.
And basically the number of advancements is proportional to
Yes.
however many are saying. Okay.
And obviously you guys don't do pit stops or fuel or anything like that. So
No.
what's the average? Like Eldora the other night, I think it was like a 40 lap main.
Yes.
It was,
No,
yeah,
30 lap.
30 lap
yeah,
feature.
30.
Yeah.
lap.
Is that the average kind of number? Or?
30 to 40.
Okay.
The
That
bigger
goes-
races that pay the most money are 40 to 50.
Okay.
When do you do driver changes?
Never do that.
Right. Is there a
Never do
drive? Is there a drive time limit? You're only allowed to race like 30.
No.
Yeah.
Like a CDL truck driver? No.
Okay.
That's
You
a
can
great
run
way of
as
putting
much
it.
as
That's
you
actually a
That's
good
a great way
putting
of putting it.
We're going to
Yeah.
get into it later when we decide to depress you. We're
To
going to talk about
ruin
driver
what
rankings.
you think
but-
racing really is.
Yeah. On the radio thing, if we're,
Yeah,
but there's no
of course.
structure. We're just gonna ask you a bunch of questions. You're gonna get tired of it. So I saw Larson go nuts on Twitter, and he showed this photo of this guy with like weird, like by a fence, looked like a crewman, with like this weird flagging mechanism, which I assume was some sort of signaling about high line versus low line. I'm guessing. I had no
Right.
clue, and he was freaking out about it because he felt like it was screwing up the purity of figuring it out. So one question which you already answered is no radio communication part of the heritage? In the sense that you've got to figure out how to drive for yourself.
I would totally disagree with that because I can remember when I was 6, 7 years old going to the Hoosier 100 watching my dad, and they used to have boards like the old school IndyCar.
Yeah.
You're writing on this is going on, trying to communicate to the driver with a board. So they've been doing that,
And that
long
board-
before this. So
and that
if
is-
Kyle Larson's complaining about a guy putting his hands up,
Right.
Right.
Well,
I can
it's-
remember them doing
I'm not
it.
even asking about the complaint. I don't actually know what are you communicating. So
Well,
is
I
it
think
track
he's probably
position or is it
communicating.
lines?
I don't know at the time, but
Sure.
I mean, I would say a lot of times. I mean, you see guys telling guys, "Hey, I'm
Yeah.
out front," or doing go to the top, go to the bottom, whatever.
And that's what I'm saying. So
But
like the guy
I
with
do
the
think
board.
that the guys that are really, really good,
Don't need
you
it.
don't need to tell
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
They're moving around,
out.
they're adjusting, they're learning. They know they're watching other cars.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think he's probably just saying, I don't need somebody to tell me I need to go to the top. I need to go to
Right.
the bottom.
Right.
But that's the thing. So like
It's
the
more
guy,
of a sarcastic, I think, remark
Right.
to somebody doing that. But
so the guy with the board isn't necessarily your P6 3 seconds down. It's try the low line, try the high line.
could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could be. I just know back in the old days, I mean, they've been doing that for years.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they communicate some way to their drivers
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, the World of Outlaws used to have a two-way radio, and they complained about the way guys were racing other
Right,
guys.
right.
Because it became a rear-view mirror race.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah,
So then
yeah.
it went.
Okay.
So then they got rid of it and went to the one-way radio, which
Yeah.
our cars should be that way. We
Yeah.
don't need a rear-view mirror.
So you're looking at how many laps do you think you're doing that night then? Like 40?
I mean, let's say you did 40 in the feature, you do 10 in your heat.
Yeah.
There's 50.
Okay.
2 qualifying and 3 hot laps.
Right. And then that car gets loaded up if it's in one piece and goes to the next race the next day.
Right after the race, the guys are prepping it for
Okay,
a
that's
car
what I was
wash.
going to ask. When do they?
They prep it for the car wash, wash the car,
Mm-hmm.
wake up in the morning, and maintain the motor, maintain the car, and they do that, 50, 60, 70 times.
Right.
I mean, it's just, there's a lot of behind the scenes that go
Yeah.
into our cars because you're racing in dirt.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
Filthy.
preparation you
Mhm.
have to do to keep it.
Right.
I was gonna say
Where-
minus a wreck. What are the prep items you're doing from race to race?
I mean, motor-wise, air cleaner.
Okay.
for one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oil, filter, setting the valves, checking the valves, springs,
Right.
just
And
because
spring
since you're
change from
racing in
track to
dirt,
track.
our cars get a lot of valve train
Yeah.
wear,
Oh, sure.
a lot of things like that. Plus, our car, with the way we run them and how hard they run them,
Yeah.
a lot of the issues, and it's a push rod motor, so you get a lot of valve train issues.
Yeah, sure.
So that's probably our biggest thing right there with the motor end of it. And then the cars, just since you're running in dirt,
Yeah.
I mean, everything has to be working properly
Yeah.
from your
Yeah.
drive line to your because we're old school torsion bars like
Right.
an old Model T Ford
Yeah.
or whatever. I mean nothing's really changed
Right.
on our cars except everything's got nicer.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
but the whole basics of our car is basically the same.
Yeah, right. With the wing, I mean, you guys make so much side force and down, like I guess downforce through the corners. You guys are flat at a lot of these
Right.
places. Is the wing at all adjustable?
The only thing we can do with our wing as a driver in the cockpit is move it forward and back.
Interesting.
And that's it.
Okay.
And it works off the hydraulics of our steering.
Okay.
So basically, you got to be in the throttle to get it to move.
Yeah,
like
otherwise
if
there's
you're-
no power to it.
There's no power to it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How much does it move? Like in?
You probably move it a foot.
Oh wow. Okay, that's incredible.
those
But
speeds, that's a lot.
that just goes to show you how inefficient these wings are.
Okay,
For as
right.
big as they are.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
think you
I
would
was
need 2,000 horsepower.
Well, I thought you were
for
going to
it.
say like you can only move it like 6
No.
inches or something. You know,
No.
like not even that.
And
yeah.
going forward and back, is that literal center of pressure like you would in any other car?
Yeah, I mean, basically,
Yeah.
you're just trying to get drive on your rear tires.
Okay.
Yeah. That's super
Yeah.
cool. How long can you run a set of tires for?
I mean, there's tracks we go to. You run a set in hot laps, and
Uh-huh.
they're
Yeah.
junk.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It just
Wow.
burns them up.
Just burns them up.
Yeah.
And then obviously the track officials and that will have to look at, because normally whatever tire you qualify on is the tire you got to run in the feature.
Sure,
Okay.
Or the tire you qualify on, you got to run through your heat, your
Mm-hmm.
dash, and then they'll let you put a new tire on. But I mean, if the track's not there and it's tearing tires up, then obviously they got to look at changing the rules a
Right.
little bit.
Yeah, right.
So you're not having tire issues throughout
Right.
the feature.
Yeah, right. You don't want guys buying
Well-
tires they don't need to buy,
Right.
and things like that.
How bad is the dirt for your data acquisition?
Would you stop?
You know, there is guys. I mean, for instance, Dave Blaney.
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll be a guy. He'll come and he'll have it on.
Oh, he actually will.
Oh, yeah.
With like basic
Allowed to
stuff?
race with it or just practice with it?
Practice with
Okay.
it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's guys. I don't know. I went to Charlotte when I was with Casey Kane Racing, and we did a lot of that stuff.
Just
Right.
But
tests.
I honestly think with our cars though, and the way the dirt changes and
Yeah.
what it is, that testing is actually misleading.
Okay.
Oh, I can see.
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
really
yeah.
think
Like-
it helps you as much as you think it does. Normally, I think it puts you down the wrong path.
Okay.
In the
Well,
sense that you get an abundance of information and it kind of you
And
start
it's
looking at
kind
the
of
wrong
like
things.
spins you out from
Well-
just where you think you need to be. But
plus, your conditions change so much.
So much.
That
I
you
mean-
can't be like, oh, exactly the same as it was earlier.
the thing
Yeah.
is, the weather.
I was gonna say we just get
Our-
temperature
yeah.
changes on concrete. I can't imagine what
Changes.
that does to your surfaces.
Well, it
You
changes
guys-
our surface
Yeah,
tremendously.
right. I don't think
So-
a lot of road racing fans, and I'm not trying to be belittling to their knowledge of the sport. Maybe they know more than we realize, but I was shocked to see that you guys put down rubber
Oh,
on
yeah.
dirt. Like you rubber in a dirt track
Yeah.
to the point where it looks black all
Yeah.
the way around. That is incredible to me. And that's how much wheel spin you guys have and grip and everything going with it.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah, that's incredible. What's a
Yeah.
set of tires cost?
I'd say a right rear's $250.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not considerably bad, but it is to an owner when you run. Say you need 4 tires a night for 100 nights.
Yeah.
Add that up.
can
It's
add
a
up.
lot.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a big
Yeah,
expense.
for
Well, let's
sure.
say because like first place on Saturday, which again was the big show, was like $5,000 or
It's
10
10.
10,000 to
10.
win a normal World of Outlaw race.
Yeah.
And is there a purse down to certain positions?
It pays all the way.
Oh, okay.
Everybody there
everybody
gets
gets
paid
something.
something.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Okay.
That's great.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. What's the entry fee?
None.
What?
No entry fee.
That's new to me. I didn't know
I
that
did not know
part.
that either.
Yeah, we have no entry fee. Now we have to buy a pit pass. You have to get into
We
the
got
pits.
one.
Yeah, yeah.
we bought one.
But no, now certain big events, like we just ran that race in Mansfield, paid $100,000 to win. You had an
Oh,
entry
okay.
fee.
What was
Is
the
that
entry
because
Like when
it-
you go to the Knoxville Nationals,
Okay.
there's an entry. But
I see
the
at that point
elite
that's it.
races, yes,
Yeah,
but
what are we talking on entry fee?
$100. Yeah, nothing. I mean,
I
and
thought
it
you
may
were
not
gonna
even
say
be
like
$100
$5,000 or something.
Yeah,
And is that-
and I think a lot of times,
is that
like
just
say
betting?
Mansfield, you pay your $100, but
Yeah.
you get free pit pass. So you really,
Right.
Right.
it's not like you're.
It's more like they're vetting to make
So
sure.
they're-
Yes,
they're
but
paying
they
out of-
know that they're gonna have X amount of cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a in
Yeah.
a venue paying that kind of money
Yeah.
needs to have something that they can advertise. Hey, we're gonna have 100 cars here for
Right.
100,000 to win.
With that, because a lot of our entry fees pay towards the prize money that we don't. Prize money in our world is like, the fan ticket. Is the ticket? Is that what's raising the money for the prize money there?
Yes.
I would assume it's ticket
Yes.
sales drive up, and then that's how they can afford to pay you guys.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're literally a proper racing
Right.
series where fans buy a ticket, that money goes to the pot, you guys win the pot.
Yep.
I'm blown away by the lack of entry fee. And then when you said you win $100,000, I thought you were going to say it's $1,000 entry fee or something.
No.
So it makes sense.
No.
That's like
That's
super
a whole-
cool.
yeah.
That's really cool.
Let
Yeah.
me tell you about the Daytona 24.
What's I don't know if this is that easy to explain or known. What's like a one night? Like what did Eldora just the day of Eldora cost somebody to run?
I would say if you're going to come there and compete and race with Donnie Schatz,
Yeah.
it's going to be $3,000 to $5,000 a night
A night. Okay.
to compete at that level.
It
Right.
is.
Now, obviously, you can do it for less, but if you want to win that race,
Right.
you're looking at $3,000 to $5,000 a night.
Right.
What's the car cost without the motor? Because obviously the motor's going to be like 50 or 60.
A good engine 60,
Yeah.
a good car's 20.
And that engine.
Good for the year?
Good.
No, say you have an engine, you can run it 10 to 12 nights, and then you have to freshen it up.
And then are the rebuilds done by you guys, or is it
No,
going
no,
off
it has
to somebody?
be sent off.
Okay.
Okay.
And what does a rebuild cost?
Rebuilds can cost from $10,000 to $40,000.
So it's
Okay.
still a
Yeah, so the motor,
400,000 kind of year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
but they're
okay.
racing.
I mean, really, to be legit, you need $500,000 to $1 million.
Yeah.
and that's like, what's Donnie Schatz operating on, you think, about that number? Like 750?
Oh, $1 million.
$1 million bucks, yeah.
Yeah.
Done.
Right.
Interesting.
Maybe
there's-
maybe seven. I don't know.
Yeah,
Tony Stewart
sure.
generates a lot of money.
Yeah.
So,
Because Brian, now this was USAC, but Brian was basically kind of living off of his prize money and kind of putting it back.
And
And he
his
was
sales
running for teams.
T-shirts.
But it sounds like there still is a delta between prize money and the cost of pro effort. So this is where
oh, it definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
I think like I said earlier. I mean, I was very, very fortunate to be a professional race car driver for 18 years racing dirt.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm very, very lucky in that because not many guys can say, hey, I'm a professional dirt track racer.
right.
And not have to subsidize it with another job on
Well, I
the
was going to
side.
say, so like as a pro dirt track racer for 18 years in World of Outlaws, you're paying all your bills with it. Would you call it a comfortable living? I mean, you're not making NASCAR money, obviously, but
I mean, obviously you're not making NASCAR money, but I think it's all relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, more money, more problems.
Sure.
I've been very lucky that my dad helped me along the way.
Yeah,
Like I got
right.
rental properties and everything. I think the sad part with our sport is you have to, and being directed by a formal race car driver. I mean, I'm sure it's like any. When you make your money, it's very short-lived.
Yeah.
So you can easily spend that money. So
Yeah.
unless you invest it and do things right at that time when,
Yeah.
I mean, you think it can go forever, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right.
So luckily, I had a guy in my corner that when I was making money, I was investing my money.
Guy in your corner
So
being your dad.
my father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm very lucky in that. So, like when I lost my job running the World of Outlaws full time, it wasn't like it was the end of the world. I mean, yeah, my kid may not be able to go to Notre Dame, but he's still going to go to college.
Right,
You know,
right.
so
Yeah.
I'm lucky in that
Right.
respect. But yes, dirt track racing's hard because it's very short lived, and when you do make it, you have to make sure you invest it.
So, Donnie Schatz, Steve Kinzerside, guys like yourself, like top 10 kind of guys. How are your contracts structured? Is it like salary plus winnings?
Honestly, the only time I've ever had well, this year I have a contract with Rudine, but Casey Kane Racing was the first time I've ever had a contract.
Sure. But, okay, paperwork aside, how is usually your payment structured? Is it some sort of...
I'd say the majority of the guys, the elite guys, are getting 50% of the prize money.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they get bonuses.
Okay.
If they win certain races, if they win X amount of races.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're not getting any sort of baseline anything. So
well,
you're...
like when I was at Canes, I did.
Okay.
But I there's probably not many guys that get like a base salary, but it's still you're getting your percentage on your performance.
Okay.
So basically, you get paid how well you do. If you do
Right.
good, you get paid more.
You lose, you don't eat kind of
You
deal.
don't eat.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
That's
real.
why you
That's
got to
real
hustle.
racing.
Real
Yeah.
racing.
That's why you got to
Yeah.
hustle, and you see a lot of guys like you was talking Brian with his
Yeah.
T-shirt trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Myself, there's a lot. If you don't hustle and make it when you can, you're not going to make it because
Yeah.
they're not going to give it to you.
Yeah.
You
Right.
got to go out and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the tiered down system? Like in my type of racing, we have like the Continental Tire Series, and then we have like SCCA Club Racing, and then go-karts. With you guys, it's
I'd say it's very similar to that. I
Okay.
mean, I think a kid in a go-kart that decides he wants to go dirt track racing can do that.
Right.
He
would move
or
to,
he
like-
could go road racing.
Right.
I mean, it's just that transition at the time. For me, growing up, I didn't want to run World of Outlaws.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to go IndyCar racing.
Oh, no way. Oh,
I
all
wanted
right.
to be like my dad.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to run the Indy 500, and
Yeah.
I think any racer,
Yeah.
that's what they want to do.
Right.
So did you grow up road racing karts around here?
I did for a little bit, but not a lot.
Okay.
So road racing, we had the same conversation with Roger Hayden.
Motorcycle rider.
In road racing, it's easy to hide behind your co-driver even if you don't have a lot of talent. It's also, I'm going to go on a limb and say, way less scary
Yeah.
compared to what you guys do.
Yeah, what I do is not scary. What you do
What
is
you
scary.
do is frightening. And so in my head, it's like, well, that probably helps filter out some of the
bullshit.
some of the kids that come in
Yeah.
and then just sort of hide behind their equipment or whatever. But is it a growing problem now? I wouldn't say problem, but is it
Basically,
growing?
like you mean like
Well,
funded drivers?
Yeah, the funded 28th place kid that's bitching about everything and anything under the sun.
You see a lot more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you see a lot of it. I mean, honest for me, I don't care how you get there.
Sure.
If you're
Yeah.
good enough,
If you're
you
good, you're
deserve
good.
it.
If you're a
The
good
one thing
person,
that
yeah.
I don't like about it is the lack of respect.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And you see, I think
Is that an age or an entitlement thing?
I don't know what it
Yeah,
is.
sure.
I just
I would-
think growing, for myself growing up,
I would guess
my dad
generational.
won the last race at Ascot.
Yeah.
Two
Yeah.
guys died. So,
Right.
I mean, as a driver, you know, hey, if I don't respect the guy next to me, this could be my last race.
Yeah.
And I think the cars have evolved into being safer and safer because of that, which all race cars have.
Yeah.
And our cars really have become safer. I think the respect just got thrown out the window. And then it's all about, you know, I can pay to fix this or I can pay for this.
Right.
And I don't need this and I'm not going to get hurt.
Right.
So the respect issue just got thrown away. That's probably what's hurt our sport more than anything, especially being open wheel cars.
Yeah.
Is the lack of respect. And I think a lot of that is just age and lack of knowledge
It's a
of where
different
the sport
generation,
came
too.
from.
Yeah,
Definitely
exactly.
different. Because the generation now is, I'm going to go play
I'm gonna be on my
iRacing or
phone.
whatever.
Yeah.
And if I have a bad race, I just hit reset.
Right.
But trust me, I've been hurt.
Yeah.
Kids that when you can't hit reset.
Right.
You got to sit in the hospital and
Think about where your next
think
check's
about,
coming from.
this
Yeah.
ain't fun. You
Right.
know, and that definitely makes you realize if you really want to do it or not.
Yeah.
So it's just a different world.
So you grew up in a racing family.
Yes, sir.
So you are the product of what was known as Little Joe Saldana. Mm-hmm. He was in a very different era from now because
Very
he was
different.
he was a short track guy,
Yep.
USAC guy, and then got to run the Indy 500.
Yes.
So,
But he got there, and his lucky part is he got there before money.
right.
He got
right.
there right before it turned into how much money you got.
Right. So
Right.
before
What
the
can
Indy
you bring?
500, I mean, I'm sure you
We
don't
actually
know
had
every stat.
bump day when I was little. I remember all that. I was like, dude, this is the coolest thing. These guys had to race.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there
Earn it.
wasn't 33 cars or 32. Let's drag one out to make 33.
Right,
There
right,
was
right.
50 cars shooting for this
Well,
race.
and that's kind of what we wanted to talk about.
We're at dinner with Rick Mears tonight, and I was looking at
Rick
like,
Mears was co-rookie of the year with Larry Rice, but grew up
Right,
racing
yeah.
with my
who was
dad.
it? Who was he?
So I
That guy,
mean,
right.
I lived around all these guys. I've been very lucky. Poncho Carter, Gary Bettenhausen.
Yeah.
They all lived right here in this area.
right.
So for me growing up, I'm like right in the
You're
middle.
starstruck by it. Yeah. So when I'm doing research on Rick Mears, I was looking at Wikipedia for like one of the years that he won it, and on the list of like carb day, bump day, all these things, an asterisk next to it is all the crashes, and all of them have injuries.
Yeah.
Every one of them's like broken leg, broken arm, double broken legs, all these things, and not that it's super safe, it's still super dangerous. But back then, it was like if you have an off, you're done for the month.
Oh,
you
you're
know what
done.
I mean? So bump day was like you have to put this on the line
Yes.
to make it in, and you're probably not in the best equipment if you're in the back like
Right.
that. Good luck.
Right.
You know, like
That's-
that's fear. That's real fear.
Yeah.
You know, that's not like, oh, I hope I can make it in. That's I hope I walk out of here
Yeah,
today.
you go look at these cars. The cars they ran were them aluminum tubbed Eagles. I
Yeah.
mean, like you're just asking for
Right.
disaster.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and I don't care if you're going 150 or 200. It doesn't really matter. When you're going that fast, it
Yeah.
hurts. It hurts.
So before his first Indy 500, what was your dad's kind of resume like?
Well, my dad was a true like dirt track guy.
Yeah.
He came from no money.
Right.
Built his own car, and they called them super modifieds back then.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they ran on dirt, and then he just won. You know, these little tracks we've been talking about all over the United
Yeah,
States.
right.
Won. And then he got hooked up with a guy out of California, Roger Beck, which
Okay.
had Indy cars.
Yeah, yep.
And he let my dad bring his car out to the Midwest, and they won the Knoxville Nationals in 1970. Well, that race now is your career. You
Right.
know, it's the biggest thing for
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
But for my dad back in 1970,
That was the entree.
it got him to USAC.
Okay.
And then his rookie season at USAC was 72. And then he just worked his way and got an IndyCar ride with Leader Card. And he just hustled.
Yeah.
Right.
And then got to the Indy 500. And then did that for a few years. And then it got to the point where, well, you know, if you want to run this car, how much money can you bring? Well,
Right.
my dad's not that type of guy.
Yeah.
You either put me in because I can drive it,
Right.
or I want to go do something else. So he just quit. At
So-
40 years old, just bailed.
Done.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And his first Indy 500 was what year?
I think he was there. His first year was 76.
Right.
But he got bumped.
Okay.
So 77 was his first
Yeah.
year. And I think he would have. No, I know what it was. 76. His time would have made it. They waved him off.
Oh.
So by the time, but back then, you got to get back in line.
Right, exactly.
Well, he could.
Yeah.
He was done.
Right.
Yeah.
Clock horn goes off.
Yep.
He had a fast enough car to make the race. If they would have just took his 4-lap average, he's in the show in 76. They
And just
waved him off.
For a little bit of
Didn't get to
context, in those days, if you set a time, that was it. You couldn't re-qualify that car.
Nowadays, it's who can we get?
Yeah,
We
right.
wanna get a
Can
car
you
out
please
here.
come out
'Cause
here?
there is
But
nobody.
even in those, and this is what I'm saying, it was kind of the end of this era because, in the 70s, these weren't roadsters anymore. They were still winged cars. And
Oh,
rear
yeah,
engine
so it was
and
a
all
rear
that.
engine
So how much
Eagle.
of a transition was that for him to go from USAC to
You know,
these kind of cars?
he never really said how difficult it was.
Yeah.
I think the cars they had to drive back then were always difficult.
Yeah, right.
So it wasn't like they were driving Cadillacs.
Right.
So for him to jump in an Indy car and be difficult,
Right.
he was used to driving difficult.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so I don't really think. I mean, you got your elite group still, your Penske's,
Sure.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, he was. Them guys from them days are
Like
just
that.
a different breed.
So the counter logic, and I'm not contending for it, I'm just saying the counter logic is that no, guys who come from high downforce winged experience are the guys that you want to run the Indy 500 because it's the closest thing.
Right.
So that's kind of where I was going, was like Brian was kind of the only guy of this group
Recently, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
recently run the 500, and he wasn't in a position to do well in the sense that it was he was always running a limited runtime program,
Right.
Teams that maybe weren't necessarily set up to win. If yourself or Donnie Schatz, minus a few pounds, went out and ran a Ganassi car, how do you think they would do?
I think they'd be fine.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I really think they'd adapt well and do just fine.
Yeah.
I think it's the opportunity.
Right.
Like we
Yeah.
talked.
Right.
You get the opportunity, you either take advantage of it or you don't. I think a lot of guys could jump in an Indy car and put it in the show.
Right.
Now, I don't know if they can compete with Scott Dixon.
Well, that's what I'm
right.
saying. Yeah.
There's
So-
there's an elite group of guys once you get to that point.
Sure.
But to put it in the show and be competitive and have a decent day,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody that I race with, I don't think would have any problem with that.
Has there been a guy that's done that in the sprint cars? Like, that we maybe never heard of recently? Like, did like a Dixon come and test a World of Outlaw car or anything?
No,
No, I know
Yeah.
Dixon loves dirt track racing because
Yeah.
I've been to Australia quite a few times,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and he'd come to Parramatta and watch. He's gone to Chili Bowl and watched,
Yeah.
but I've never.
Interesting.
No.
Yeah, I'd really
Probably
like to
not.
see what would happen there.
Yeah.
That's something I was kind of surprised by when I started following a little bit more sprint car stuff, is that in the winter you guys go down to Australia
Yeah.
and go race down there. How does the Australian dirt car scene start? Is that something that's been around for forever and we
Well,
didn't know about it?
actually, I did it for 13 years.
Right.
And I learned from Donnie Schatz, just from example. What were these guys are racing, it's just like anything else. I mean, if you're racing night in and night out year round, it's going to make you better.
Sure.
But it can burn you out.
Absolutely.
And so it's our winter, it's their summer. So guys were going over there and they're racing all winter long, and then they come back and they're fresh.
Yeah.
They're ready to go.
Right.
So it's just something, I think if you could do that as a professional, guys wanted to do it. But it's like anything else. Now it's got to the point where you can't make any money doing it. Because all these kids are going now, and they race for no money, or they're
right.
paying their way.
Yeah.
And it used to be a way that you could subsidize, make money through the time where you're not making money.
Right.
So, like, all that has changed.
An off-season
I mean,
job, essentially.
Right. And there's none of that anymore.
Had you traveled internationally before you went down to Australia for the first time?
No.
So what was that
I loved
like,
it.
just as a lifestyle?
Like when my first year going to Australia was 1996.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was in a United row 72. There was no entertainment center.
Right.
Right.
I think we had like 5 stops to get there. No cell phone. Not
Right.
like today.
Yeah, right.
It's
Right.
just waited. 1996 was like
had a
going
Game
back
Boy?
in time
You had
to
a Game Boy?
Australia.
Game Boy.
A Game Boy.
Yeah, I didn't have one, but probably back then.
Yeah, right. So you get down to Australia. What's a kid from Brownsburg think of Australia when he shows up? And how were they with you guys?
They nothing but respect.
Oh, cool.
Nothing but respect.
Yeah.
It's probably the best thing I ever did was going there in 1996, and their 2 biggest races. I've been lucky enough to win them.
Yeah.
So I've won races there, and if I wouldn't have done that, I mean, I think that just opens a lot of, it's just
Yeah.
good to have on your resume.
Yeah.
Myself, Donnie Schatz are really the only 2 that have gone down there and won. Well, the 50,000 at Parramatta and the Classic.
Right.
I think me and him are the only 2 that have won that on all of their biggest races.
Yeah.
So it just and they really get into their sprint car racing. So I think they're getting bigger and bigger into sprint car racing, and it just helps you in anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just I realize in America we have so many other things going on,
Sure.
basketball, football, so,
Yep.
you know, all this stuff going on. So racing, it's hard. You know, it's hard to promote it and get people
Yep.
to want to come. And but in Australia they don't really have that.
Yeah.
So I mean they got the V8 supercars,
Sure.
which runs in their winter, not their summer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good
interesting.
point.
So it's a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
difference.
yeah.
So basically, when it's summertime,
So you're the game in
sprint
town.
car racing's the game in Australia.
Yeah.
That's
and it's
awesome.
on national TV. Everything's on TV. They promote the hell out of it.
Right.
And it's like, man, why can't we have that in America? But
Right.
they
So
don't
is it-
have anything
Yeah,
over there.
it's
So
different.
that's why it
It
works.
was a bigger fan base, is what you're saying.
Way bigger. I think
Interesting.
so. They do everything way better. The whole promoting, everything they do, I think is better.
Yeah.
Did you ever see your own cardboard cutout?
No.
Yeah.
Were you married?
Was I married?
When
Yeah.
you were down there?
Not when I first went down there. No.
How was that?
Is that okay?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
Did okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who has the rowdiest fans that we don't know about? Like, if it was like, you want to see some you better come to this race in this
rowdiest?
town. Yeah, like
By
who's-
far, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Is there a
Okay.
certain track that's like the like
Williams Grove.
Williams Grove? Okay,
Yeah.
I've heard
Alright,
about that
we'll go
track
on.
for forever.
I mean,
yeah.
it's just
yeah.
We'll go with Mario.
and I think its history and heritage and all that is why it is what it is. I think it's overrated,
Right.
which I'm probably going to get killed by saying that. But I mean, there's a lot of good tracks on Pennsylvania that probably don't get the recognition that they should,
Right.
Because Williams Grove has the history.
Yeah. Sure.
You
Sure.
know,
Sure.
Like Susquehanna is really big right now. They're doing a lot of work
Mm-hmm.
to get the fans to start coming to that track, and they're doing a great job. I mean, there's just a lot of tracks in PA. It's just
Right.
like there's tracks all over.
Right.
But if you got the history behind you and you don't want to put the effort in, you know, like they're living off the history.
Right, exactly.
Sometimes you gotta
You gotta keep up.
keep up.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I feel Williams Grove is not doing.
All right, these are questions for me because I just don't know, and I've always wanted to know.
That's the show.
You don't see a lot of crossover between winged and non-winged guys. At least there was a time where you didn't, and I honestly don't understand the difference in terms of driving style.
Well, I think the reason, like I said, I got to grow up with my dad raced non-wing.
Yeah.
You know, got to Indy. It became about how do you make money
Right.
to be a professional race car. And nothing against non-wing guys. And I
Yeah.
think that's why you see a lot of the non-wing guys try to come to the wing side of it, because you can actually make money
About to say,
racing
so
a
like,
wing car.
so like USAC's top tier, let's call it Silver Crown. Is it still called
Well,
Silver
Silver
Crown?
Crown, yes,
Yeah,
but
okay.
Silver Crown is that's a whole nother story.
Okay.
I can remember my dad went in a mile race in a Silver Crown car, getting $40,000-$50,000 back in the '70s.
You're right,
which
yeah.
is like $200,000
Yeah,
now.
right.
Well, nowadays they're racing for $3,000-$4,000.
Well, I was going to say, so in,
I mean, it's like
in
a joke.
2018, if you say, you know what, dirt racing is my commitment, I'm not going stock cars, I'm not going Indy cars, World of Outlaws is going to win every time just
Every
because
time.
it pays.
Every time,
Okay.
Yeah.
just because they have the money.
Yeah.
They have it. They have the sponsors. They have everything there to make a living. You can't. You watch the non-wing guys. They got to run a sprint car, a midget, and a champ car. You know, they got to
Yeah.
run 3 different series. They're racing all the time,
Right.
different cars,
Yeah.
just to try and make what one
What
guy
you could
makes
make.
with a wing car.
Right.
And it's just the way it is. The transition kind of changed there a few years ago, and it's always been that way.
So guys like you, the wing guys, who are, you know, the sort of the elite level wing guys, if you went over and ran, you know, a midget non-wing car, how are you going to do? How is that transition?
Well, I mean, like for me, I think it's awesome to do.
Okay.
I just like to be out of my element.
Yeah. Right.
A couple of years ago, I built my own midget. I just
Yeah.
wanted to do it. I went to DeCoin and I won the race.
Oh, cool.
Okay,
So,
so
for me,
so you can be competitive on both sides.
I think it's shown that. I think
Okay.
it's shown like Rico and Kyle and Christopher Bell. I mean, obviously
Right.
they're talented drivers.
Yeah.
Sure.
But they're transitioned from car to car to car.
Yeah.
And Brian Clausen. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
and guys are showing they can do it. Kevin Thomas just went down to Hobstadt. You know, he's a non-wing guy. He ran well with the wings. Guys can do it. The biggest non-wing race in the history of non-wing racing was won by a wing guy, Jack Hodenshield.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily, oh, these guys are better than this guy. If you got the talent, it's a car.
What do you have to do different?
Well, I don't think you got to do anything different. You
Okay.
just got to strap in that thing and drive it.
Go
I mean,
for it.
really.
Yeah.
Like,
Find
because
the grip.
the wing cars are known primarily you're driving off the right rear, but you're flat through most of it from what I observe.
I mean, it's kind of
know.
a catch-22. I
Okay.
mean, you'll hear a wing guy talk or a non-wing guy. The thing is, like, a wing car is going so much faster.
Right.
When you do crash it, it's going to be violent.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, non-wing car is violent, and you race it however different, but it's the same. It's the same
Right.
thing.
Right.
I mean,
So-
you either make the transition or you don't.
Right. But one isn't more lifting or more braking or anything like that?
I would have to say that probably a wing car is more chassis oriented.
Okay.
Like there is points where the driver can do more or do less, but I really think in a non-wing car it's more driver, less chassis.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is transit, but it just depends on your surface. Like
Yeah.
Top Stop, for instance, was all driver.
Right.
That's just, you got to get in your car and hustle it. And that's
Yeah.
a wing. And if you're on a big half mile and it's smooth and slick, it's chassis.
Yeah,
It just
yeah, right.
depends where we're at and where we're going.
Sure.
But I do think a lot of times the wing car becomes more of a driver, crew chief, getting the car dialed in, getting it right, getting you comfortable because you're going so much faster. You
Right.
got to make speed. Where a
Right.
non-wing car, it's more about just
You can kind of
adapting
overcome
and
some
moving
stuff.
your car around
Yeah,
and,
right.
and making it go for what you got.
Right.
Last weekend at Eldora, how many crew guys did you have on your team?
We have two.
That's it.
That's
yeah.
it.
2 guys and a driver.
2 guys.
And maybe
and
an
a
owner.
So it's like a mechanic and engineer.
No engineer. No engineer.
And do you think that's the same on like Donnie Schatz's car?
He probably has 4.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's double
Yeah.
of the
It is
of the other
double.
guys,
But honestly, I think with our cars and the way it works, sometimes you can have too many people.
Yeah.
You'd rather have less people, high quality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then you're just stumbling over everybody.
Right. So obviously you guys are running together all the time. Like weekend or day in, day out. You're going to end up having disagreements with people. The type of racing you guys do, the slide jobs and like having to be safe and work together to not kill one another. You're going to have guys that you disagree with on track and might not consider safety of anybody, including their own, as much as you do. Have you had guys that you've had to long
Oh,
running?
yeah.
Who are like the Joey Saldana rival guys that you're like, not this guy again?
Well, I can honestly say probably the 2 best guys that I think racing sprint cars would have to be Danny Lasowski and Donnie Schatz.
Okay.
The cleanest drivers, race you with nothing but respect.
Yeah.
And that to me should set precedence to all racers.
Yeah.
That here's your 9-time, 15, whatever champion he is, the baddest guy there is in sprint car racing. If he can race you with respect, why can't we?
Right.
Kind of learn from the best. And I try to race people like the way they race me.
Same.
Try to give them the same respect. Just because you can get hurt. You can get hurt. Once you strap a helmet on, obviously you're in a race car. You could get hurt.
Right.
So respect the car, then respect your competitors. And I don't know. In my course of my career, I've ran into everybody at some time. So I think the biggest thing is just respecting that person and knowing hopefully it wasn't done intentional.
Right.
And you go from there. I mean, if I wanted to bitch, I could bitch for an hour about guys. I mean, like right now, I just ran Hobstadt with Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
To me, best driver ever. Next to Tony Stewart, he can do anything.
Yeah.
Me and Kyle Larson are running, I think, 5th and 6th at the time. And the way we do our restarts, we do double file restarts. I'm starting on the inside on this restart. So now I'm starting 5th. He's starting 6th. We come off the corner. I easily could use him up.
Right.
I don't.
Meaning just get right in his way and
Oh, yeah.
force
I mean,
him to lift.
In our sport,
Yeah.
my right rear is bigger than your left rear. I can move you out of my way.
Yeah, right.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
And not because it's Kyle Larson and hey, I don't want to mess with it. No, I just respect
if
the guy.
somebody did
He's
that
good.
to you, you'd be pissed, right? If somebody did that to
Well,
you, you'd be
what
like, dude.
What I was getting at is I raced him with nothing but respect. I felt
Right.
like I gave him his line. I took my line. We raced.
Yeah.
Well, later on in that race, now the double file restarts reversed.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on the outside. He's on the inside. Guess who uses me up? Kyle Larson.
Right.
Rear in the fence. I almost flip. Luckily, he did get into me because it caused a big melee, and then we had a big pile up. Well, then I got my spot back.
Right.
So I run 4th in the A.
Yeah.
But my point is, here's the best guy in the world, race car driver.
Yeah.
And early on in that race, I raced him with nothing but respect.
Yeah.
Thinking I would get the same respect back.
Right. And
I didn't get it.
Yeah, right.
So
Right.
you just live and learn.
Do you think that's youth versus experience?
No, I think it's just.
Is that just Kyle Larson?
I think it's just Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
Fair. Is there like Earnhardt used to be this in the NASCAR paddock? Is there a sheriff, a guy who kind of out of the car sets everybody straight if they're acting out of line?
I mean, I would have to say back in the day, Steve Kinzer, obviously, just
Yeah.
because of who he is and his stature.
So, like,
I
if-
mean,
like,
you don't
did-
want to mess with Steve
I was
Kinzer.
gonna say, did you do anything stupid that Kinzer was kind of like, hey, come here?
Yeah, have you ever had the talking to?
Oh, I'm sure I pissed him off a few times, but I'm sure he's pissed me off a few times.
Sure.
But I mean, you live and learn who you can deal with and who you can't. I'm not going to walk down to Steve Kinzer and pick a
Right.
fight.
But did he ever dress you down and then you learned and said, okay, I'm not
you
doing
know,
that again?
if anything, I think where I came from and
Yeah.
how I got to where I was, I think he respected
Yeah,
that.
he knows your dad
Copy.
and all that
yeah,
too.
I mean, so I think
right.
there's a mutual respect.
Right.
There was times when I was running the Outlaw deal, Steve Kinzer helped me with motors or certain
Sure.
situations.
Sure.
You know, he didn't help everybody.
Right.
So, you know, obviously there was a mutual respect there.
Right.
How I got that respect with him, obviously, was how I was raised and how I race.
Yeah.
So that's all. That's it.
In when you're doing 100 races a year, if you hold a grudge with every guy you tangle
you're
with, you're
gonna
gonna
be a
have
mess.
800. Yeah.
Right.
What's the usual protocol to bury the hatchet with a guy? Is like texting is so common now among people.
I don't think you. I mean, I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not a big social media trying to stir shit with people.
No, I'm going
you
the
know,
other
so-
way. Like, how do you
If it's gone wrong,
keep
you're trying to
Honestly,
settle the beef.
honestly, put my helmet in my helmet dryer. Do my thing.
Yeah.
Go to
So
the next race.
you don't talk it
try
out
to
with a
kill
guy?
it. I'm
Yeah.
not going to deal with it.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
not with my and as much as we race,
Yeah.
you're gonna get somebody some night. They're gonna get you.
Right.
You just
That's what I'm
move
saying.
on.
You're not
Right.
talking it out every
No.
time you have a run in. You're just sort
No.
of like, whatever, and move on.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's-
Out of the younger guys right now, who's the one that's killing it with the ladies?
killing it with the ladies.
So, about to say, if there's like a paddock wide, like, hey, so and so's going out. Like,
Oh, there's a lot of that
but
going
is
on.
there like who's the guy like? No, I can't do it.
I would have to say the guy you're talking about right there, the crazy guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's Jason Sides.
Okay.
He's out
so
there
we need
just-
to get Jason Sides.
Oh,
What you're
yeah.
telling me. All right. Yeah. That's our guy.
Dude, I'm laid back. I go to race and I go home.
Yeah. Who is the prankster of the group? Every racing team's got, or series has a guy that you're like, dude, that guy's going to steal my golf cart or tip over the porta potty or something.
I mean, Jason Sides fits that mold again.
Mm-hmm.
Paul McMahon. I mean, I don't know, dude. I when I go there, I just go to race, do
Yeah.
my thing, and I go home.
You're like, I am
don't-
business.
yeah,
I am all business.
I don't even want to deal with it.
I'm
just
in my
there's
40s.
so much.
Knock it
There's
off.
so much BS behind the scenes.
Right.
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 I just try to focus on what I'm doing. And
What is the most ridiculous trophy you can get in World of Outlaws? Because-
ridiculous trophy.
Well,
Yeah.
you win the King's Royal, you actually have to put on like a
that's-
crown, a
and there's a
robe, and
scepter,
a thing, and
there's a-
everything.
yeah.
And that's the best
that's
thing ever. That's the
awesome.
way races should be.
That's
Better
awesome.
trophies.
Yeah, so let's put this on. Let's pause this for a second because if you're a road race fan, we're too goddamn classy. And
That's
so
one way of putting it.
we were
You're
watching.
wine and cheese guys.
Brats.
Yeah,
Tony
brats.
Stewart called us wine and
Oh.
cheese brats.
Yeah.
We are.
So I was
we're
watching some
beer.
YouTube clips of your King's Royal wins, which is the big premier
Yeah,
race
that's
at
a big
Eldora.
deal. Yeah.
And you've won it twice.
Yep.
And so you win the race. Walk me through the post-race procedure.
You get to the podium. Or
You know, it's
yeah.
just. I mean, honestly, you can never have enough of it. Like it's.
No, we want an actual
Yeah.
breakdown. Like you get out of the car.
You get out of the car, and
They
I think
hand you-
I think for myself though, I mean, you're beside yourself because it's a tough race
Sure.
for us. It's
Right.
a 40-lap race at Eldora,
Right.
And both the races I won were pretty tough races.
But if you look
Pretty-
up, there's 80 feet of flames coming off the podium. So now what do? So you take your helmet off.
A
and
PR guy
on
like
comes-
Sean hands you a,
What do you
a
get?
crown or the robe first. How's it go?
I think you get the robe first.
Okay.
Okay, so you get a king's robe.
Yep.
And
Very
it's
good.
like legitimate.
Yeah, it's
like
legit.
it's yeah.
And there's like a some day hired actor wearing like a minstrel outfit.
Well,
and
honestly,
like,
they
this
have,
isn't
they,
made up.
they try to get somebody of some prestige in our
Sure.
sport to
Yeah.
come and represent that
Okay.
and hand it off to the next guy.
to play
Right,
like the
right.
Joker and the minstrel
Yes.
that's on this. Oh, so those are like people of note. That's not
Yes,
just
they tried
Bob
to.
the actor.
They're like,
Okay.
that was Steve Kinzer, dude. No.
Yeah, Steve Kinzer actually have done it before.
Yeah, I
Really?
can see that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jack Hewitt's done it before. I mean, there's guys.
He's had to wear like the all black with the hat and the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
That's
they give you like I think there's a
You get a
scepter.
scepter?
Yeah.
And then you get the crown. Do
Yeah.
you get to keep all that?
You get it. Well, the only thing I got to keep my
Your
cape?
robe.
The
my
robe?
cape,
Robe,
my
yeah,
robe,
yeah.
and I got to keep my crown.
Okay.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
so, but they give you that. That's part
Yep,
of the trophy.
it's part of
Like
your
you get to
trophy.
keep this. Who got
Luckily,
the other stuff?
the one year I won it, it was sponsored by Crown Royal.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it was,
Yeah,
it's
it's
badass.
done
It's the
well.
way-
Yeah.
It's the
Right.
way you wish
Right.
every King's Royal would be.
Sure.
Okay.
And they only did that for a couple of years, but luckily one of the years I won it was Crown Royal. So
In our sport, if you win the Daytona Rolex 24 Hours, you get the Rolex Daytona watch.
Yep.
That's like the most coveted watch in motorsports. After
I've
that,
seen that.
Yeah.
My Finn has one.
Oh,
Didn't they win it?
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
last
they won
year?
this year. They won
Right.
this
Yeah.
year.
But they normally don't give it to the crew.
That
he's
was
got one.
Nice.
The team.
Sometimes
the
they'll-
team can have reproductions
Yeah,
paid
right.
for their
Yeah,
crew
yeah,
guys. So
yeah.
Yeah.
that
But
means somebody
the
spent
team
money.
But that's
doing
badass.
it. Yeah, right.
It
It's
is.
a really cool deal,
Yes.
right? And that's kind of like if you win that race, you're not set for life, but you're probably getting a ride
Yeah.
when you need one. But then after that, it's like a trophy. Just like it's the same trophy for every race almost sometimes that they've clearly made
Yeah.
like reproductions of over and over again. So if that's the big one, you get the crown and the whole thing. I saw you won like the Ironman 100. Is that what they call it?
No, it's
Ironman?
55.
And then there was like just a half naked dude next to you, and he's
Well,
like ripped to shreds,
yeah,
and he's
I won
kind of red.
I won the first one they ever did, and they call it the Ironman.
Okay,
Right.
right.
And for us, it's the longest race on our schedule.
Yeah. How
so
long
it's
is
a pretty intense race.
How long?
55 laps. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Keep in
anyway,
mind that
why they bring out
A dude. It's like a dude
Yeah,
half
it's a
naked.
chiseled dude who's
Badass
dressed
chick.
the role of an iron.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I don't know.
If a girl won, give her the dude.
Yeah.
And if a guy won,
Yeah, I don't.
but like
Yeah.
what happens next with that guy? He's like, okay,
I
we
just
take a
stood
photo
there,
and
I
you.
guess. I got my 35-pound dumbbell.
Right.
Said I wanted, and that's it.
That's what they give you.
That's what they
They give
me.
you 35. Okay, so these are cool trophies because we literally after the watch, it's like here's a thing,
So,
like
yeah,
here's just a
do you
piece
ever
of
look
wood.
at your Iron Man and go, I hate that he's just exploited for his looks?
No,
Have you never said that?
No.
Weird.
I
Okay.
love my trophy.
Okay.
How mad are the women in the stands when that guy comes out?
I don't think they ever used him again.
Oh, it was a one-off.
That was
Okay,
a
so that's why he started
one
laughing.
and done.
That's why he started
Yeah,
laughing.
I think they
Yeah.
got for that,
Yeah.
so they never used him again. Yeah.
Is there another trophy that's like, okay, like obviously that was a thing where you're like, all right, what's this about? But is there
But I
something
mean,
like,
actually, if you think about it, the trophy itself was an awesome idea.
Right.
It's our biggest race.
yeah,
Lengthwise, it definitely takes a lot out of you.
right.
And they give you a dumbbell with,
That I get,
engraved.
for
That's
sure.
the way it should
Is
be.
there some-
Having the guy there,
Right.
But the trophy itself was.
Is there like a one where you win like a local town thing? Like if you won in Hershey,
Like,
Pennsylvania,
here's the
like they
key to
give you
the
the
city.
giant.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say like a giant chocolate bar or anything like that. Nothing.
No.
No.
Yeah, like we saw Alan Kowicki had the giant ketchup bottle.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say is, so like when we went to Alan Kowicki's personal trophy collection, there was a ton of stuff in there. Probably the second biggest trophy of the entire room was a second place in go-karts.
Yeah.
Like, is there some obscure race that doesn't mean anything, but for some reason the trophy is 9 feet tall?
Well, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
I have this. I only have a few trophies in my house, and there's
Yeah.
one trophy I won at Dixie, Georgia.
yeah.
And
I've been there.
and it's the tallest trophy I've ever got in my life. It's like 8 foot tall.
It's like
Yeah.
all
So that's
plastic.
the only reason I kept
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah.
to like, holy shit, it's the biggest trophy I've ever seen.
And you're
so
like-
I kept it, and it's in my house.
And were
Right.
you like third in the B?
No, I won the race.
Oh, you won the race.
No,
Okay,
no,
at least it
we
was
don't
a
get trophies for running third in the B.
Oh, right.
You
yeah,
have
yeah,
to
there-
win.
There is
to
no
get a trophy.
podium, right?
No.
There's no
Okay.
second and third
No.
anything. Okay.
They might talk to you on the radio, but for us, it's all about winning. That's it.
Your trophy is a quick local radio
Yeah.
spot. So this show is really about getting to know people on a personal level, kind of outside of racing. And in your case, we're learning a lot about a series we don't know a lot about. But the man that we want to know about,
What, should we really get political?
I think we have to.
Well, I mean, we're not really a political
That's
show.
how you
but-
get to know people, though.
All right,
So,
fine.
All right. You voted, right?
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
vote.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Do you mind sharing with like the fans? Who'd you vote for?
Johnny Rock Page.
Oh, man.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I don't know how he didn't win.
This is never mind.
With you as like your dad, you're like, I can't do it. Monday night I got baseball practice with Reagan. Like, oh, okay, yeah, you're,
Yeah.
Like, you're living dad life. Let's learn about you as the dude. Like, you're a TV guy, a movie guy, nothing.
Nothing, man.
When you
It's
get,
all racing.
Dude, I'm telling you, I came straight from the gym.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
what I
so
do.
you're big into CrossFit, I read.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you one of those guys that has?
Well, I
to
used to be big into Pit Fit, so maybe you guys can help me out with Jim Leo. I just can't afford the guy.
Oh,
He's killing me.
oh.
Well, he wants to be on.
Yeah, we were
almost
actually-
took
Dude,
him.
tell him if he's
For a
on your
discount.
show,
Okay.
he needs to let me train at his place.
Okay, so we'll interview him.
Tell you what.
See, I used to,
You can't
and
afford
I
it.
just can't afford it.
Yeah.
That's because all these
Yeah.
IndyCar guys are killing it for us
Yeah.
dirt truck guys.
Okay, so if we're wine and cheese, what do you call those guys?
I don't know.
Let me
I
explain
can't.
this-
I mean, I respect them all because I got to work with them, and
Right.
the guys that are good,
Yeah.
trust me, they're badasses.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
They are badasses,
But- Mm-hmm.
and they work hard, and they should get what they get. But I mean, you got to remember, not all drivers make the same kind of money.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
well
yeah,
aware.
yeah.
So
I'm on a podcast. We got podcast money. That's
Yeah,
our running
yeah,
joke.
We're making that podcast.
Yeah, we thought it was hilarious because we sat down with Stenhouse, Larson, and
Blaney.
Blaney, and we're buds with Blaney. We don't really know the other two, and then also Tony Stewart. And who was it that was it? Those three? There was one other person that tried to explain to us that we're the wealthy ones.
Landon
Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's
But
like,
you guys
you
are
guys
all
are all lawyers and doctors. I'm like, I'm not a lawyer or a doctor. Like,
and
he's
your
like,
team owner owns like 12 Burger Kings. What are we talking about?
Seriously,
So,
like, so the kid that made $1 million last year is telling me that we're the wealthy ones. I was
Right.
like, I think you got it backwards here, dude.
Yeah.
Every sports car team shop, for the most part, is like not a like you built your own car.
Yeah.
We buy it. You go to a Hendrick shop or a Ganassi or probably like Casey Kane Racing for the World of Outlaws. You guys are building your own cars from a pile of metal and creating that. You guys are basically factory teams that are building your own stuff. And primarily our form of racing is buy a turnkey thing, run it.
Right.
And so to me, that and I'm not belittling what we do, but like that's really impressive because we don't have the necessary means to do that. And also it's not been done that way for probably 20 years now.
Yeah, well, actually, I was going to go the other way. As the economy changes, kit car racing in any series becomes a thing. Is it starting to go that way with you guys?
Oh, it is for us.
Yeah,
I mean, even though, like you said, like Canes or whatever, or even like TSR with Tony Stewart, I mean, they have people that build the stuff for them.
Right.
I mean, it's not all done in-house, but it's built for them specifically for what
Is
they
everybody
do.
starting to buy their stuff from the same place? And
It's
like,
yes
is there
and
a parts
no.
truck running around at the
There
track?
is parts
sounds like
trucks.
both,
I mean, there's so many other little teams that there is, you can make money at that.
Right.
But the elite teams do it all.
They
They
do-
have it done
They do make their
in-house.
own stuff.
Exactly. And that's not the case in our sport. And we have different rules about like homologation, like you're only allowed to run this part and it has to be bought from that
But honestly,
person.
that in a way that's good. It kind of controls.
You'd think so, but it still starts creeping
I'm
up.
sure
And
it
or
does.
it's like who can't buy a car because they
Right.
don't want them to. Like a certain manufacturer specifically that I could name literally has outpriced. Oh no, it'd have to cost 3 times what the other cars cost because that's what we put in
'Cause that's our
developing. It's
brand.
like,
Right.
whoa.
Yeah, because the downside to homologation, like you like it because like, oh, everybody's got the same stuff and it's competitive. However, now it's a monopoly.
Right.
And so now they can charge whatever they want because what are you going to do?
Right.
It almost sounds more like NASCAR in the sense that like the top guys build their own stuff and that's what makes them good. And some of the other guys, so like if I'm starting my own World of Outlaws team, I accept that I'm not going to be a top dog early on. Can I buy old stuff from? Okay.
You can buy a whole team from TSR. Or,
I was going to say, I can go to Tony Stewart's shop or Casey Kane's shop and say, I'll just use that car that you just ran out. And is that a common move?
Yeah, a lot of teams do that.
So not too different from NASCAR in that sense then. Yeah. Okay.
And honestly, you could go out and run just as well or better with used equipment as brand new.
And that's the beauty of dirt racing is that you can overdrive it to some.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's. I mean, just because you have it, you still got to get the power to the racetrack.
Right.
So I mean, a lot of it just could be the driver to the crew chief.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the equipment is.
Right.
As long as you can get it to the track.
So the good versus the bad teams, obviously being able to refresh and whatnot is one thing, but you know, the guy with the strongest motor, is he going to be the guy that stands out, or the guy, like the engineer or the tuner driver relationship? Like, what's the?
I think in our sport, the best team is the team that's been together the longest, and the crew chief and the driver have been together for so long. It's just they know each other so well. Yeah, that's what you're up against. You can't buy that.
Yeah.
You know, you can buy Donnie's motor, car, whatever you want. But the thing is you can't buy Donnie and you can't buy Ricky Warner. That's the two guys that make it successful.
Yeah. And I would assume one couldn't work without the other. Maybe.
Do you know, the funny thing is in my career, I got to work with Ricky Warner.
Okay.
And unbelievable talent.
Yeah.
He did a lot for us. I don't know why, but in 2007, he was my crew chief at KKR, and we fired him.
Oh.
Why would we fire him? I don't know.
Sure.
Right.
Goes right back to Donnie shots and dominates.
Yeah.
So where could my career be if we didn't keep Ricky Warner?
Right.
You know, because the guy, actually, when he was with us, we won our very first night out. We were leading the points. We won like 2 or 3 races in a row, and we got rid of him. But it was more of a personal problem.
Sure.
You know, and that's the way it is in a lot of teams.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not really about anything. If people aren't working cohesively, it just don't work.
Yeah, for sure. So we do a pass-along question for every guest, and last night we had dinner with Terry Trammell. Familiar with Terry?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Right here.
Yeah.
Oh, you got this. You got the scars to prove it, huh?
Wait, you look like Roger Hayden.
Yeah.
What is that?
That was Eldora 2011.
Okay.
What'd you do?
That was when Jim Leo basically put me back together.
What happened in the crash?
Had a car come through the cockpit.
What?
A car.
As it does.
Yeah.
Right.
He said it like it's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Did you put your arm up to deflect?
No.
I mean, like,
He
no,
just
it
went
was
through.
not
just
good.
part of the deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, was it a
so
compound?
Lifeline to Indy
Yeah.
and Ortho Indy and them put me back together. It was like 3 plates and 50-some screws.
Jesus.
How
Yeah,
do you
not
remember
good.
it?
Yeah.
Did you didn't go
Did
out
knock
or
me
anything?
out.
How painful.
So what was the
Oh,
actual?
it's bad.
like
This knocked me out for 30 races. This is the one
Right.
they said I'd be done for
Right.
a good year.
Was that a compound fracture?
Oh, it
deal?
was bad.
Blood everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God.
Not good.
Is that the worst thing that's ever happened?
The
Yeah.
worst because
Yeah.
there's like this wasn't even my problem. My problem was I shattered 6 ribs
Oh God.
off my spine, which punctured my lung. So they were more worried about me choking to death than
Right.
really my arm.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were just trying to, stabilize me, get me so they could fly me to Indy,
Yeah.
and then luckily my suit held it all together. It was an 8-hour surgery, and like 4 of it was just picking all the bones and putting it back together.
Right, because that's what Trammell does. He
Yep.
kind of reassembles.
Yep.
Do you think it's worse when you can remember it?
Well, you definitely appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
right.
Sure.
But
Right.
yeah, I mean, I remember everything. I was in
Yeah.
the hospital for a week, and
How long did it take from the moment of impact until you were on the helicopter?
Eldora is pretty one of our most sophisticated racetracks.
Yeah.
So luckily, that was the track.
Mhm.
If you're going to get hurt,
Yeah.
that was a track you want to get hurt at. So I was very lucky to get hurt there,
Right.
because they have the proper safety equipment, which a lot of these tracks we race at do not.
Sure, yeah.
So
When we were there the other night, we got there and the helicopter was landing.
Mhm.
Like right when we got there, and we were concerned, like, oh, I hope it wasn't taken off earlier.
No, that track can bite you.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
that's just preventive maintenance,
Yeah.
which is good that they actually think of that ahead of
Right.
time. But yeah, I've been on that helicopter twice there.
What was
so.
the other one for?
I just got in an accident, severe concussion,
Right.
trauma table, the whole deal.
Yeah.
Just making sure I didn't kill myself.
Gee.
No, Trammell, I also shattered my hand, fused a wrist, bone in my wrist,
Mhm.
raced like the next week. Trammell fixed that.
Yeah.
So, but that's one cool thing here in Indy.
Yeah.
We have great ortho surgeons.
Yep.
Who know the injuries?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they can fix you. Like, if I was somewhere in the Midwest, I probably would not have had my arm.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that was.
So luckily, they put it back together.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing that we when we had dinner with Terry last night, and people might not listen to that episode just for a reason. When he puts someone back together, it's with the thought of like, you got to eat.
Yeah.
And this is how you make your living.
Yep.
So we got to get you back out there. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, well, we'll see. It's like, hey, I'm trying to make it so you can do this again.
Right.
Yeah.
No, this right here was definitely. It was like if I'm at Stanford
Mhm.
or I'm at Indy, it's gonna one of them two places. Anywhere else in between, I really don't know if they could have fixed it properly.
Right.
Like I probably would have issues
And-
that I couldn't race. So
Does that, I mean, do you think about that when you go to like the
no,
Podunk
not
town?
anymore.
No,
Not
you just
anymore.
kinda
I
like-
don't know.
yeah.
It is what it
You're
is.
just a wheelman. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Do you? So you probably don't know Roger Hayden. You maybe know the name.
Oh, I know the
biker.
name for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, we sit down with him, and he's wearing a T-shirt, and he's got marks like that on both arms.
Yeah.
And so finally, we're like, "Hey, is that like crash or something?" He's like, "No. The muscles in our forearms get so big from everything we're doing, and he doesn't lift weights.
Yeah.
And he's like, they get so big from what we're doing in your hands, you kind of lose the use of them. So we all have to have our muscles cut down and everything to be able to.
I had that since I have all my metal in there.
Yeah.
I got hit by a rock in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And it ruptured inside, hemorrhaged.
No shit.
So they call it compartment syndrome, and they were afraid I was going to lose my hand, so they actually have to cut it to release.
Yeah.
Because I have no
Because with
deflection
the
in
swelling,
my arm.
yeah,
right?
yeah. Okay.
Jesus.
So same.
That's just from getting hit by a rock.
That's getting hit by a rock. My forearm was bigger than my thigh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Jesus
called
Christ.
compartment syndrome.
Do you? I mean, post race, do you look at your helmet for impacts or things like that? Like, I mean, just to see if there's rock damage, because that seems like
No, just
So basically, you get
just
hit by
deal
a
with it.
rock, and
just deal with it.
the plates don't expand with the rest of
Right.
the tissue, and so
Right.
everything kind of swells up.
Yep. It hemorrhages
Never thought
inside,
about that,
and
yeah.
then it bleeds from the inside out.
Right.
What happens if your cool suit box doesn't stay cold throughout
We
the
don't
run?
have that.
Yeah, right.
Ah.
You're
Yeah.
too busy
Yeah.
getting shot by rocks. Jesus. Okay. So we do a pass along question. We had dinner with Terry Trammell last night, and his question for you was, why did it take you so long to learn to wear a Hans device in your
Ooh.
car?
Good.
Yeah.
His
He
place.
he was loaded.
Well,
with
he
that
was.
question.
That
Yeah.
was. I got lifelined out of Eldora, and that's I had my severe concussion, and from that moment forward, I wore a Hans.
Yeah.
It's just our style of racing. It's kind of like old school.
Is it not mandatory?
It's not mandatory.
Currently?
Currently, it's not mandatory.
Wow. Wow.
And it really became more of a liability at Casey Kane Racing.
Okay.
They mandated it.
Sure.
Even though
Yeah.
our series didn't that, they're
Yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah, you
we
race
need you
here.
racing.
So do guys
We
not
have
run
to.
it out of some illusion of bravado, or is it too restrictive of movement because of the way you got to move?
It is restrictive, and you
Yeah.
got to get. I think that's why the younger guys, it's
Yeah.
just put it on them and go.
Yeah, get
but
used
I
to
mean,
it.
like Steve Kinzer, never.
Yeah.
These
No.
guys, no.
Yeah.
Well, because like we were talking about spotters earlier. NASCAR a lot of times they run spotters because they simply can't
Well, they
see
have
much
poor
around
vision
where they're at.
anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like how with the halos and everything out, like you guys have to have so much motion in your head to be able to look ahead.
You definitely have to have good peripheral vision.
Yeah.
Right.
Because our racing's all right
It's so
here.
compact,
Yeah.
and you're sideways, so you can't look forward.
Yes.
So that with halo systems and Hans devices, how much is that getting in the way of your ability to see around you?
Well, now I just
You just deal with it.
deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had to. I
Yeah.
didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
My body can't handle it. I had to wear one.
Right.
I mean, if I get hurt again, you could be done.
Right.
So-
right. And there's a lot of things at home you got to be responsible.
But Trammell is exactly right. I mean, it's. I know when I go to Australia, it's you can't race in Australia without it. It's
Oh, yeah.
mandated.
Down there they are.
Now I don't understand why the World of Outlaws, national, worldwide, whatever,
Yeah.
we're the only form of racing that's not mandatory.
Yeah, and you guys, when you have wrecks,
Stupidest
they're-
thing ever.
They're big.
Yes. Now it's recommended, but it's not mandatory. So that's the one thing that I would say the Outlaws definitely need to look at is
Sure.
mandating
Yeah.
that.
I think that's be pretty agreed upon.
Yes.
Yeah. So tonight we're gonna have dinner with this local. No, he's not local, but he's made a name for himself in this town. Rick Mears.
Rick Mears.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You've probably heard of him.
Oh yeah. Well, not. More of a fan than anything
Sure.
else.
Yeah. No, we don't know.
Yeah.
If you could ever ask Rick Mears anything ever, think of a question. We'll happily ask him tonight.
Man, that is crazy.
Yeah, we're like,
because
oh,
he's
boy.
like, he's a legend.
Legend.
Yeah, the guy we got before, Mario Andretti, was pretty freaked out when he had to come up with a question.
Who was it?
Brian Till.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He said,
yeah.
what?
Well, then we had Mario Andretti. The next day we had a guy named Parker Kligerman, who's an NASCAR guy, but Mario doesn't know him.
Yeah.
So we're like, hey, you got to ask Parker Kligerman a question. He's like, ask him if he likes dogs. It's like Mario. Okay.
I mean, I would have to say for myself, how cool was it running the Indy 500, being co-rookie of the year with Larry Rice? I mean, for me, Larry
that's
Rice was
so perfect for
my
you.
dad's
Yeah.
not nemesis, but they
that
grew
was
up
sort of
together,
his
kind
guy.
of raced together, and then you get Rick Mears come in, and here's a Larry Rice competing at a high level, and he's co-rookie of the year with Rick Mears. I mean, like, Rick Mears to me is the ultimate.
Right.
It's pretty high up for
Plus,
us.
when
too.
he retired, he kind of retired like my dad. Dude, he just
He's like,
bailed.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the balls right there. Like, there's nothing else I need to prove. I'm out of here.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Done it.
So,
Done it.
yeah.
awesome.
That's
Just-
perfect. Yeah, that's a good question.
Speaking of your dad, you were only 3 or 4 when he didn't make the show.
Yeah.
Do you remember that at all? I'm curious, like from a family perspective, when dad doesn't make the race, what is that? Because like people today don't understand bump day.
Well, I mean, like for my dad, I mean, I don't think people realize like that's their livelihood.
Yeah.
I mean, if he makes the Indy 500 as a family, we're set.
Yeah.
Because
For-
of the payout, or
Just
just you
set
can
for a
ride that.
year,
right,
and then you get to go again. I mean,
Set from the payout standpoint, or just you can ride that. Sort
well, I
of
mean, it's
resume
just
piece?
back then. I mean, you make a show. You made the show in 1975 or 6 at
Yeah.
$200,000.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
I
right.
mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
think of what that would be to. That's a
Yeah.
lot of money.
Yeah.
I just, I would say that probably more so for my dad.
Yeah.
Just where he could be if he could just make the race.
Right.
Financially. And then not giving up on his dream and coming back out and making it the next year.
Yeah.
So that in itself to me would that's the hard part.
Right.
Just for him mentally keeping himself focused on what he wanted
Sure.
to do.
Yeah.
And he's got 3 kids and a wife and trying to make it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just tough.
Yeah. Dale Coyne comes calling tomorrow. You going to do it?
Hell yeah.
Okay. That's what I figured.
The problem with Dale Coyne, when he calls me, he's going to ask me how much money I
Yeah,
got.
Right,
exactly.
right.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's the problem. Is
So, on that note, so your son really likes baseball.
I mean, they like baseball,
Right,
but
yeah.
I think they really like racing too.
That was my question. It's like when he started taking up baseball and not quarter midgets, where you're like, thank God.
Yeah. It's
No,
cheap.
actually, we had a quarter midget and just weren't really into it. We got outlaw carts now, and it seems like
okay.
all the kids today are coming from outlaw carts.
And an outlaw cart
is
looks
that?
like
Yeah.
like a World of Outlaws, but
Well,
it's a go-kart, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but the cool part with an outlaw cart is they're like our cars. They got so much power,
Yeah.
and they don't weigh anything that as a driver, you're always trying to figure out how to get grip.
Yeah.
Get going forward.
I read that you went back to that. Like, didn't you go and do some races?
Well, I did some more to help the tracks and promote the series and try and get them going for the younger generation.
Sure.
So I went and did some of the early races when they're trying to get Millbridge going and stuff like that. And, just trying to get it popular, get people involved. And it's taken off.
Right.
So both my kids got them.
Yeah, a buddy of mine that works on the Panos team, he's like a 52-year-old English guy that bought one because he's like, oh, that's cool, I want to do that. And last time I talked to him, I was like, hey, how's that thing going? He's like, nah, I flipped it out of the park. I'm done.
Yeah, they're crazy. I mean, like my oldest son's 14. He's got a KTM 250.
Right.
And they have no weight rule. I mean, it's a stupid power.
Yeah.
And and that's what's going to help him if he's going to go to the next level is learning how to get that power to the racetrack because that's the way our cars
So it's a 250 on a small little dirt oval.
Yep.
Yeah.
On what? How heavy is the chassis?
I mean, it looks like
they can't be 200 pounds.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like a shifter cart
Dude,
with
it's
a giant wing on it,
ridiculous.
man.
Yeah,
It
but
looks
my point is like
badass.
shifter carts, you brake and downshift to go through tight.
Right.
Yeah, I got a tag
Grids.
that I run out of Dismores
nice.
just for working out.
Badass.
Yeah.
Sean almost died out there once.
Newcastle?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's my place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not similar, but very similar.
Yeah.
What did your dad do outside of racing early days? Like, did he have a job while he was trying? What was it?
He was a bricklayer.
Oh, okay.
That's the closest we've
That's
gotten.
close.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the ESPN movie 3?
Documentary.
No.
Okay.
No, about Dale Earnhardt in his early days? Okay.
It's really well made.
Yeah. What about, so was he still doing brick stuff when you started racing? Or was he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep.
So was he
He
one
was
of
a
those,
mason by trade.
Oh, like a real one.
Yeah. Him and his dad before him.
Right.
And then I think that was my dad's like, dude, I got to find a way out of this.
Right.
I'm going to be a mason for the rest of my life. I'll drive a race car, So he
So
started
did
racing.
he ever verbatim say, what was your mother's name?
My mom's?
What's your mom's name?
Susie.
Did he ever go, Susie, I ain't laying no more bricks?
I don't know. I mean, obviously he did tell her that eventually because,
Right.
hell, he didn't do it anymore and he went to the Indy 500. So, yeah.
When you were starting out with your racing, if you weren't doing well, was he like, you don't want to go back to laying bricks, son?
No. I think his biggest thing was been there, done that. So
Okay.
his thing was just don't give up on it.
Okay.
And he was not easy by any
Sure.
means.
Right.
My dad was probably tough as nails. But I think it was you don't want to ever have to do what I had to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what we.
Yeah.
Get your ass in here and work on this car and make it happen.
Right.
Because you don't want to have to get a real job.
Yeah. Don't go back to the mill.
So you have no idea who we are before you walked in, but to an audience like ours that maybe isn't as savvy on the dirt track scene, is there sort of a legacy you'd want to leave behind or a
Honestly, I don't know. I mean,
Like 20 years from now, somebody hears the name Joey Saldana. What would you want them to think about it?
really, I'm so old school. I'm like, I just kind of like let it happen. I mean,
Think what you
it
want.
is what it is.
Yeah.
If they look into it and say, hey, this dude, he did good,
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. I mean, am I going to get on social media and say, I did this or I did that? No. It speaks for itself.
What I'm hearing
Either
is
it happens or it doesn't.
We don't have to worry about the dinner with sprint car drivers or dirt drivers.
Yeah, dinner with outlaws.
Dinner with outlaw. Oh,
Yeah, we just took that. Yeah,
that's
can't
ours
have
now.
it.
You can't have it. We don't have to worry about the dinner with outlaws. Joey Saldana podcast.
No.
Coming up. Okay, we're gonna be all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
Awesome.
No. Dude, I'm as laid back as I get. I was shocked you even wanted me to get on here.
Oh
Like,
no!
Oh,
we had
yeah.
people request you. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
you're a
Maybe
well-liked
that's why
guy.
I don't say much.
Yeah.
They're like, I
So
gotta
to get
hear
me to
something.
talk.
Right. All right. Well, Continental's got the check.
I'm finished.
Joseph Saldana at Tequila Sunrise.
Yeah, that place is cool.
Yeah, totally was.
Nice, folks.
All right, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you to
Acura,
and Continental Tire.
Continental Tire.
Be sure to let them know how much you appreciate the effort here at Continental Tire. And we're going to play out of here with another song.
Ooh, this one. Play this one.
It's going to be Station. You can find them at stationband.com, available on Bandcamp. Here's a rockin' song. Rocking song of theirs called More Than the Moon. Oh, wait, no, the album's called More Than the Moon. The song is called Cost of the Sand by Station. To Does anyone remember the character Station in Bill and Ted 2? Because literally that's what I think of when I hear this name for some reason. In any case, rock on.